What's up, guys? Emily Gagnon in the house. Brett Gilbert. Brett, it's a Monday. We haven't had you in for a while.
It's been a good bit. It's been a good long bit.
With that, we have a ton to talk about, right?
Yeah, we do. I was going to say, what better day than after the week of the Sunday of football we had, and then 2 Monday night games tonight. It's a lot going on.
And I didn't even know. You were the one who told me there's 2 games tonight, and I was like, wait a minute, what? But that's because usually when college football slows down and is basically over, NFL ramps things up and they get going. But let's start off with the Falcons, okay? I think that's the most important thing that we're going to talk about today. For me, I don't know about you, but Younghoe Koo missed 2 field goals. That, to me, was like the biggest deal in the game because that was the game changer at the end. Though, we have to forgive him because he's made so many game winners for the Falcons.
I mean, I've heard this stat a million times last week. You should have known the jinx was coming, honestly, that he had surpassed Justin Tucker as the most accurate field goal kicker in NFL history. And then, of course, the next game, he misses 2 field goals, and it would have been the difference. But let's not be too hard on him because I think there were
it's not his fault, right?
No, there were some other questionable things in that game. I think starting at quarterback, I think that's your.
We should always start there when we talk about the Falcons.
Yeah.
But since since you haven't been on the show and I complain about it every week, I want your take
on the Ritter situation.
On the Ritter situation.
I think if you watch the Falcons any week, there are 2 obvious problems with this team. One of them I think will definitely be addressed this offseason. Both of them might be, and that's the quarterback and the head coach. I personally, I think they're both a problem.
Okay.
I don't think there's any way that the Falcons don't address the quarterback situation in the offseason somehow, some way, because, I mean, both of these guys, but I mean, we see more of Ritter. It's just so hard to watch. I mean, he's literally giving the other team points with that screen pass that ended up almost was a pick 6 and then immediately turned into a touchdown. They obviously don't trust him to pass balls into the end zone.
Oh my goodness.
When you're down within the 10-yard line, within the 5-yard line, deep red zone, every ball is short of the goal line, and then you're relying on your playmakers. Thankfully, you've got good ones, but you're relying on your playmakers to get in. The team doesn't trust him. Play calling definitely doesn't seem to trust him. I mean, they've got to figure something out. I saw a stat earlier today. PFF, which, say what you will about PFF grades.
No, I actually like PFF.
Well, then maybe you'll enjoy this.
Yeah.
Here's some quarterbacks in the NFL who have a higher season-long PFF grade than Desmond Ritter this year.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this.
Zach Wilson of the Jets, who was benched and got his job back, just like Ritter. Aiden O'Connell, the rookie QB for the Raiders. Tommy DeVito, the kid in New York, still living in his parents' basement.
And some people might not even know who that is.
And
sounds like an actor.
Tommy Badgett, the Bears quarterback, who a lot of people don't even know who he is. I mean, those are some bad backups who, according to the numbers, according to PFF's numbers at least, have been better than Atlanta's starting quarterback.
And you said it backup. We're not talking about Ritter as a backup here. We're talking about him as a starter. I do have a question for you, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but I do want to get your take because you're pretty raw with this and pretty accurate in my mind when we talk about things like this. Do you feel like his teammates ever feel a certain way about his play? Do you feel like they're ever, I don't know if they're anxious or feel any kind of animosity towards him, perhaps?
Who was it in the London game that snapped him on the bench?
Yes, one of his receivers.
I'm drawing a blank on who that was now.
It was, let me pull up the, he hurt himself and then came back in the game yesterday.
I literally can't. I just remember someone losing it. But that shows you, I think it's there. I mean, I'm not in the locker room. I don't know. But you would have to imagine. I mean, these guys see the same things we're seeing, and they're more affected by it. They're probably, somewhat friends.
Matt Collins.
Matt Collins. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was Matt Collins. That's right, yeah. Because
he was
bouncing when he was getting mad at him. But I mean, these guys aren't blind. They're NFL players. They've got to see it too. I'm sure they're going to say the right things to the media because that's what you're expected to do. And at the end of the day, he's your teammate. But the frustration's got to be building. I mean, there's no way it's not.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, yesterday was for first place in the division. I feel like every game that's played with the Falcons this year is for first place in the division. It's awful, but the Bucs right now have first place, and I think they have the tiebreaker, right?
Now they do, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's still, 4 games, I think, left to be played. A lot could still happen. I just feel like nobody in this division deserves to go to the playoffs. But somebody's going to go, could even host a game.
Yeah. You could have two teams go. Looking at the NFC standings the way they are right now, it's feasible that the Falcons and the Bucs, or the Saints and the Falcons, some combination of two bad NFC South teams get into the playoffs, which would just be terrible for football, I think. But that's the situation in the NFC.
No, like I think the same way. I'm like, this is trash ball. I mean, it was hard for me to watch, and like obviously I cover the team, but yesterday's game was hard for me to watch because I thought like, okay, like this is just bad ball being played. But I think Jesse Bates to me is by far the best player on the team, other than Younghoe Koo. I think he's having, a season to remember. But, yeah, I mean.
The whole defense has really played well, to be honest. I mean, I know on paper they gave up a lot of points. But, man, it's tough when the other team constantly has good field position. I mean, they got one possession from, like, the 3-yard line. You're missing field goals, and that's given the Bucs good field position. The defense has played well for most of the year.
Yes.
Top half of the league defense for sure. Top 10. In a lot
they
of
are top 10, yeah, for sure. And let's just look over their schedule real quick before we move on.
Yeah.
So they're at the Panthers this upcoming Sunday. Win, right? We agree on that. Could you imagine? It'd be like when they played in Arizona, and Arizona had like no wins, and basically they gave it to them.
Quarterbacks who hadn't started for their 3 quarterbacks in a row who hadn't started for their teams that season. So you never know.
It's wild. So you're at the Panthers, then the Colts come to town, and the Colts are the only team with a winning record left on their schedule.
I'd take the Colts in that one.
I would too. And then they're at the Bears, and the Bears have won 2 in a row, so they're, I don't know, picking up steam a little bit.
Fields back rolling a little bit. The Bears will probably be favored in that game, if I had to guess.
Yeah, and so their last 2 are actually on the road, Bears and then at the Saints, and you just don't know with the Saints, right? Like anything could happen. You're over there in New Orleans. So let's just say they split that maybe, go 2-2. Will it be enough? I mean, but I certainly don't think they deserve to be in the playoffs, and I'm with you. Something has to change. I don't know if Arthur Smith is the one that's going to change. If one of the 2 were going to change, I'd bet more on the quarterback being gone.
I think that's a guarantee.
Then Arthur Smith, they might give him another year.
Sure.
So, but after that, like let's move on. All right, so let's move on as well. Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs. I mean, I just think this is a season-long frustration for them.
Yeah.
But it finally.
Built to a head yesterday.
Correct. So your reaction, just walk us through it a little bit. I know this was a topic that you wanted to talk about. So, and again, like you're so passionate on certain things. I just like hearing your opinion.
Well, if you didn't see it, Chiefs and Bills had a pretty entertaining game yesterday. It came down to the wire. It was tied 17-17, I think it was, with like a minute left. Chiefs have the ball, and you're kind of thinking, like, I've seen this movie before. Mahomes drives down the field and beats Josh Allen late.
That's correct.
And it kind of happened. Mahomes dropped back, hit Kelsey deep for about 20 yards. Kelsey wasn't going to score. He was about to get tackled, and then Kelsey sees a streaking Kadarius Toney coming up the other side of the field, throws a lateral. Travis Kelsey's on record saying that more players need to throw laterals because it's like the easiest way to get extra yardage in the game.
Yeah.
And it was, because Toney catches the lateral, goes in for an incredible go-ahead touchdown with like less than a minute left at that point. And we're all thinking, oh my God, here we go again. Josh Allen's going to have to put together a miracle drive to beat Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
And then the flag. And it turns out Kadarius Toney lined up like a full yard off sides before the snap. So the play doesn't count. Chiefs are backed up 10 yards. They end up not even being able to pick up a first down, and they lose the game. And Mahomes lost his mind. Now, I was watching with some buddies, and we thought he was yelling at Kadarius Toney at first because the call was so obviously correct. Kadarius Toney was so far off sides. We're like, he's got to be frustrated with Toney. No, he's yelling at the refs. He took about a minute to yell at the refs, threw his helmet, went out onto the field, shook Josh Allen's hand, but it wasn't really a, hey, good game, that sucked, whatever. He came up and the mics called him. He says, that was the worst call I've ever seen. Offensive offsides, crazy call. Like, doesn't even tell Josh Allen, good game, nothing. I'm a Patrick Mahomes fan. I like Mahomes, but I thought that was a really bad look.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree as well. It seems like officiating yesterday in multiple games was kind of criticized, not just that one, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think every week in the NFL you're going to have
You're bringing up a fair point here.
of the officiating, and I was watching on Red Zone, so I didn't see every play
Yeah.
leading up to that point in the game.
Right.
But I can tell you that call was the right call, and it wasn't even close.
Yeah, correct. And yes, you are clear. That is correct, what you're saying. So where do you think they go from here? And it just seems like the Chiefs right now are, I don't know, they're up and down, right? To me,
Yeah.
it seems like things aren't really going their way.
I mean, it's every week it seems like the receivers costing the game. And week 1, Kadarius Toney had multiple drops that would have won the game. A few weeks ago, Marquez Valdez-Scantling had a huge game winner that he dropped. Here you go with Toney making another boneheaded play this week. Kadarius Toney's probably cost the Chiefs 2 games this year. I think they're really missing Tyreek Hill more this year than even last year. They've got a bunch of like wide receiver 3s all
Yeah.
trying to be wide receiver 1s, and Travis Kelce's taken a little step back. He's still like probably the best tight end in football, but he's clearly lost a little step, and all of that combined, it's just,
I wonder if he's really over it, because I think a lot of, things are coming out that he's thinking about life after football, and I wonder
Yeah.
if that's truly true, where he's like, my body, I'm over it, my mind's not fully in the game. I don't know.
I mean,
It's hard
yeah.
to say. I don't know him, right?
Right,
Like,
yeah, but I mean, if he's saying it out loud, you would have to think that he's been thinking it for a while.
Yeah.
If he's to the point of saying he's thinking about retirement. So, yeah, he's clearly on the back half of his career coming down that mountain. And, I mean, they need some better weapons on that offense. Mahomes is incredible, but it doesn't matter if guys are committing stupid penalties and dropping passes.
Yeah, that's true. It's fair.
I don't know how they make a playoff run without a game like that where your receivers drop 6-7 balls and then you're put out.
I don't know what their next game is. I'm about to look it up. Maybe you do. They're at the Pats. So,
Okay, that should be a win.
yeah, that might help them a little bit. And then the Raiders come to town. That should be a win as
That
well,
should be a
no?
win as well, yeah. I mean,
Bengals at Chiefs.
I cannot remember Burrow's injury prognosis. I don't think he's out for the year. That's right. So that should be a win for the Chiefs too. Although Browning's played pretty well.
Yeah, and then Chiefs at Chargers. So, you know what? They might be able to win that out.
You would think.
But-
you would think and you would hope, but who knows?
Yeah, real talk right there. Monday Night Football. You mentioned it earlier. We've got 2 games tonight. We've been blessed. Oh, stop.
I'm a Titans fan. I'm allowed to say it. That's going to be nasty. Tyreek Hill might break Calvin Johnson's single-season receiving record tonight.
I
just
love
letting
that.
you know.
I love that. I mean,
He
so
might have 600 yards.
is that the game you're looking forward to the most?
God, no. I mean, as a Titans fan, like, I haven't missed a Titans game in, I don't know, 10, 15 years. So I will watch it,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm actually happy that I'll be working during it. Usually I'd be upset I'm working during a Titans game. I'm happy that I'll have a distraction, and it'll kind of be on in the corner. 'Cause
And
that
you're
one's gonna
super
be-
passionate, okay? Because
Yeah.
when I've been here, when you've been watching your Vols, you are like about that life, like
Yeah.
screaming all the things. So tonight we
will
might
not
have
be
some
tonight.
peace, okay? But what
Yeah.
if they win?
Oh, if they win, I'm going to buy a Will Levis jersey tonight. And
Okay.
come in tomorrow.
Do you like him?
Yeah, I think he's looked great. as he
So
looked
like
so far.
the future, you think the future could be him?
I think if you're the Titans, you have the most or second most cap space in the league this offseason. You need to go out, probably need to draft a lineman, buy some linemen, get him a good situation in front of him, get him another pass catcher, and then he can prove it next year in his sophomore season. And I think from what you would expect to see a guy making, starting to start games halfway through the season, I think he's showing you everything you could hope to see.
And both of these games are at the exact same time, right?
Yeah, why are we
But
doing
on
that?
different networks. I don't know.
NFL, what are we doing?
I thought for sure it was like a 6 and then like a 10 or something
That would
like
make
that.
sense, wouldn't it?
But because I was like, oh, I'm going to go
Viewership.
back to my seat and start watching, but it's an 8:15 for both, one on ABC, one on ESPN.
terrible.
That's kind of wild to me. That is, and these matchups aren't terrific, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Green Bay at the Giants. Any feelings on that one?
I'm interested to see Jordan Love tonight. The Giants' season's kind of been a dumpster fire. They've gotten a little better.
And
as
they've
of
got
late.
great players. That's what I hate about, at least in my opinion. I think the Giants have some decent players, and it just hasn't worked out.
Yeah, no, they do. They've also got a lot of holes on that roster, and again,
You're like, wait a minute, but.
again, big problems at quarterback all year long. I'm interested to see Jordan Love though. His first 4 or 5 games, I was so out on him this year. I was like, this is the guy we've waited 3 or 4 years to see.
Yeah.
Like he was barely completing 50% of his passes. He looked terrible. But then the last few weeks, he's kind of made me eat crow a little bit. He's looked really good. He's throw some dimes deep. especially to Christian Watson. So I am interested to see if that keeps up tonight because the Giants' defense is actually pretty good.
I like that you will admit when you're wrong. Like you just said, like, and he's making me eat crow. Like that's what I like about you. You've got some. You're not only passionate, but you've got some like interesting takes. But then you also are like, okay, I was completely wrong about that.
A lot, so
you gotta admit it.
All
right. So do you want to give me some wins or who you think is going to win tonight? So you think Miami?
Yeah, Miami by a lot. I think it's a 14-point spread, which in the NFL is crazy, and the Dolphins might cover that.
Okay.
And then the I mean, yeah, I'd probably take the Packers. The Giants just been so bad this season.
I think your takes are the ones. Your picks are my picks, so I'm completely in agreement there. All right, the Lakers win the in-season tournament. The NBA tried this year. They're the first champion to win it. I'm still like super confused about all of it, but it seemed to work towards the end. Yeah, and these players got bonuses, right? I think it was $500,000 per player or something like that. I'm not even sure.
They did. The Pacers. Don't quote me on this. I think they made $200,000. Depending on how far you made, I think like 3 or 4 teams got smaller payouts.
Mm-hmm. I think my problem with this in-season tournament is that people like me, like a lot of people are like me and they just didn't understand it. I don't know if you fully understood it, but I mean, obviously it's to drive viewers to the NBA.
Early in the season.
Correct.
Because, I mean, the NBA has been notorious for not really starting in fans' minds until Christmas.
Yes. In my mind, too.
But I feel like I've heard more people talk about the NBA earlier in the year, this year, because of this tournament, than any year in recent memory, at least. And a lot of it was because people were saying, what is this tournament? How is this working? But, I mean, people were still, interested to some extent to figure out what this thing was.
Did you see LeBron dancing in the locker room afterwards?
I did not.
So he was in the locker room dancing his little butt off. So I'm like, okay, anytime. Yeah, obviously, when we're talking about LeBron and the fact that the Lakers were able to win it, that probably drove a lot of interest as well.
Yeah, and LeBron turning on playoff mode in
Correct.
October and November.
Yes.
Or December. God, we're in December now.
We are in December. Where has the time gone? I want to go. Like I remember July going slow, and then August, September, October, November have gone by so fast.
I feel like college football season lasted like.
Oh my gosh, I'm with you. And Brett produces our Saturday show, our big college football show, and it's just I feel like it just where did it go?
I know.
It's insane. Anything on your mind tonight, Brett?
Oh gosh, I thought about everything but that.
Well, it's
I'm
okay.
I'm gonna defer to you, and then I'll think of something while you talk.
So, the Hawks are playing the Nuggets tonight, 7:30, and I've got to be honest, like you said, because this show is about honesty. You said a lot of people don't start thinking or talking about the NBA till like Christmas Day, when you're not watching football like you are during Thanksgiving. Sure. They are 9-12. So I looked at that today and I was like, wait a minute. This is not exactly the start that they wanted, and it's so early in the season. Right. So there's no panic mode here. But because one of our photographers were, they were like, hey, what's the Hawks record? Like, what's going on with them? I'm like, oh, they're at 500, not bad, not good, right in the middle. Then I was like, 9-12. Not amazing.
Right.
I had a little bit more expectations for that team. Again, very early, but I thought for sure Quinn Snyder was going to turn things around for them.
I thought so as well. Keep in mind, he does have, a bit of a reworked roster, a little bit. I don't know. It's early, and I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't watched a lot of Hawks basketball this year because, again,
we're not there yet.
I don't usually tune into the NBA a ton until Christmas. I
when
tune
you need
into
to.
the tournament a little bit. I haven't watched a lot of Hawks basketball this year, but I will agree that record is a little lower than what I would have hoped at this point in the season.
All right, guys. Earlier today, Arthur Smith, the Falcons head coach, he addressed the media, talked about yesterday's game, what needs to happen moving forward. Again, the Falcons play the Panthers, but let's take a listen to that.
That's the way it goes. We're going to deal with something. It's our job as pros to find solutions and see a little bit of what they were doing. And honestly, when that happens, you got to find ways to be successful. And those guys did a nice job.
And injury-wise, anybody out? I guess Street was the most serious, and Jake, I guess.
Opinion. I mean, we'll see. It's a packet. And when we look at that, I won't speak too soon, but he's not as bad as we thought. We'll just have to see. I was concerned about that. But we'll have to get more opinions. The rest of those guys, Chris, Jake. They'll have a real chance to play this week. We'll see how it goes. We'll see Landman as the week goes, and David Onyemata, all those guys. It's going to be out throughout the week.
And on the bubble screen there, it looked like we got some video out there of a potential missed block on
A
that.
couple things, it's not necessarily a clock screen. It was split different the first play of the game. I saw it somewhere else. Okay, it was going to cover 3. That was a quick screen out there to 1. This is a run alert. You start 2 back. Nobody moved. They're playing it was a good call by Todd. They roll into the field and base defense, which they've shown a lot of. And what happens when you a little bit, this isn't blame anybody, just tell you what happens on those plays. And you put those run alerts and you got numbers. And certainly we can execute that better. You get a roll corner and you got a chance to block it. And snap may take you around a little bit and take that decision, so time is a little off. So credit to them, came up, made a play, but we can certainly execute and coach it better, and that's the one we'd all like to have back. That's where we're at.
In terms of what you saw from the reserve offensive linemen, maybe Nearsall or Storm, when Drew and Caleb are ready, does that give you maybe some confidence if you're not liking what you're seeing from those guys to make a switch that maybe you didn't have before because you just didn't know what you truly had in the game set?
No, that's a good question. No, I mean, obviously I think you got a early job or day is definitely back. I'm not concerned about Drew and Caleb. They played some good football for us. And what I think Mikey gives you a little bit, maybe a guy doesn't feel like he's had a rush back, but you like to have depth that keeps everybody going. It's credit to a lot of people. It's sort of the player first. All those guys worked extremely hard and done in the game. So I would look at it in a positive light like that. I'm like, hey, in danger of being injured and doing well. But you just let all those things play out.
In terms of your secondary and how you deployed them last week, you might use a lot more quarter than I feel like maybe you have in the past with that many defensive backs out there. Was that a function of the linebacker injury issues, or was that
a little bit of the game plan? Give and take. That's one of the things we were doing. Not a good look. So Mike Gavin's a great player. So they got patient. They stayed with the runs and they hit a couple late. So yeah, a lot of those game plan unchanged until we that bad more. So I think Andre did a nice job and played it good.
I feel like I ask you like a weekly Kyle Pitts question, or this table asks you a weekly Kyle Pitts question. The way he looked like opened up on that touchdown, is that maybe the closest to what you have hoped to see?
Every week, and which is great. I mean, nobody's celebrating. I was making a promise of that. And we're seeing all these young guys, and everybody gets involved early. That's kind of where we want to be. You got to adjust a little bit. Some things we did early in the drive, as you're mixing and matching on linemen after that, and there's other things in the plan. They started bringing pressure. We saw a lot of stuff that Minnesota did to try to blow up our run game. We saw a little more zero pressure in early downs, which that's what makes it fun. Blow up the run game and make your ball get out quicker. And we stayed aggressive and showed some different actions we hadn't showed before. But I felt like everybody got involved. Certainly Drake was a heck of a game. It's good to see Kyle going, and then Bijan and run the pass. So that's trending in the right direction. But unfortunately, a couple plays didn't even make it in all 3 phases.
Well, on that first red zone drive, I'm just curious from an execution standpoint on the second down play to Bijan. He seemed to have slowed up instead of just going right for the pylon. Was that by design? I mean, it looked like CP and Pitts blocked the right guys.
There's a guy chasing him that had him a man, and then he was trying to set the blocker up in the corner. Still, not a second guess. He's got a lot of instinct. The same play we had on the third down. Goes in there as a pass, but we just changed up there. Yeah, we just told Hodge to line up down there. I just tell him don't motion down, go to and then hit Bijan. When the mid set, they'll look at the long ball.
Right.
With them that he has.
On the third down, the one where Desmond missed him, was that about the throw, or did Bijan need to take that route flatter?
No, I think, you gotta give them credit. 0 rushers and build that in as an award.
Right.
Wakefield got in there, and certainly you don't want to be throw that thing short. It can go the other way. So, I mean, yeah, obviously the ball could hit it, but it did get altered a little bit. That's not making excuses, but that did happen. It was 0. That's why it was that open. And 0, and we got them out leveraged. Deployed, but Boston's all redone.
Josh asked you yesterday about Ritter and progress and incremental progress. You said you want to go back, watch tape. After having done that, where are you maybe seeing progress from Ritter, or where you feel like you haven't seen enough from him?
Well, yeah. And it's probably the easiest thing to do is make an argument both ways. I think you could argue that the number was pretty good, right? That's, I believe that was his career high. Is that right? Yeah. Career high. I thought he threw the ball really well. Thought he really moved in the pocket and some stuff to make some difficult throws from the fields, and the one that they got knocked out of Drake that kind of put us down in loose scoring position. That's not an easy throw. You do see a lot of progress, even some of the small things. They'll be first to tell you whether it was a couple plays here or there you got to work on, and it's continuing to grow. So he's got 15 starts, give or take 6 times out of those 15. We haven't won them all. Took this position late in the game, scored to win or to lead. So they're all off targets, but we evaluate everything every day, just like I evaluate anything I do every day, and try to improve. But, our focus right now is, can we eliminate in all 3 phases a couple of plays that we didn't make, and other things that may not have been exposed. We got to improve, and we got to put everything in this. I mean, there it is, last quarter of the season. Thankfully, we have another opportunity, and we got to go win this game Sunday.
You've talked often about not wanting to be on a roller coaster. You talked about that when you're making all the quarterback moves. It seems like when you guys play, the highs are really, really high, and then some of the mistakes are pretty low. Is that hard to navigate that when it seems like when there isn't that level of consistency that can offer more stasis? Or?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to look at it. You try to have perspective. You're talking about a young player and how you go in the skill position. Yeah, but there's never any panic in them. That's why you like working with them. It's their job to keep working with them. And obviously, what we can control this week is put everything we got to go win this game, with Charlotte. And that's the opportunity they have in front of us.
Arthur, given what was on the line in the game and how much it would have put you in the driver's seat for the division, is it fair to say this is the most disappointing loss of your head coaching tenure here?
I don't know. I'm going to give you recency bias. I'm just, like you tell the player or anybody, I mean, you can be frustrated, you can be mad, and I think once you kind of get over the initial, and the game's over, and go back and look at it objectively, now you're just wasting emotion. Because the reality is, and thankfully, we had the opportunity to go, things in front of us. It'll be a crazy finish of the season, I can promise you that. We got to control, we control. Only we control, we know we're playing Sunday, and we have to win that game. But I would say, hey, this is the most disappointing. I felt disappointed before, and just like I try not to overreact when you get a win, like in New Orleans. We felt the against the wall a couple weeks ago. We got it done, and we didn't yesterday. But we still have the opportunity, and this thing, I guarantee you around the league, it'll take a crazy ride.
Welcome back in. Me and Brett saying goodbye to you guys after listening to Arthur Smith talk to us about the Falcons. Right now, they are not in first place in the NFC South. Any final thoughts? You got like 5 seconds, Brett.
They need to string together some wins.
Yes, guys. Thank you for watching. Brett, thank you so much. I mean, we've missed you on this show, so thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.